The year is 2019, and a revolutionary show hits the market on HBO, garnering 6.6 million views per episode and being executive produced by Drizzy Drake.
Anita Maxwin.
The show went on to be called Euphoria. Now, Euphoria was a show that many people watched, most for one key reason. And that one key reason was Sydney Sweeney. Now, obviously, fans watched for her incredible talent, gritty work ethic, and overall, well, let's just cut to the chase, her boobs.
Yeah, I didn't prepare my dad at all. He was gonna watch it without telling me with his parents.
So your grandparents and your father pull up with some popcorn.
My dad and my grandpa turned it off and walked out.
Now hold on, before this video becomes a gooner paradise, Sydney Sweeney after her role became one of the top leading actresses for Hollywood that year, and she continued to rise in fame. But many started to wonder why she was so famous, and if any of this fame was built off real talent or just broad sex appeal.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as in my opinion. I mean,
Sydney Sweeney was born in Spokane, Washington in 1997. Her family wasn't exactly in the film industry, however. Her father worked in medicine and her mother worked in law. She developed an early interest in acting and convinced her parents to let her pursue acting by building a PowerPoint presentation of her 5-year plan.
Audition, get an agent, do commercials and short films, then get my SAG card. But if that failed, I also presented them with a backup plan. Next slide.
Her and her mom relocated to Los Angeles when she was a teenager, living in a hotel room trying to book gigs. She spent most of her early years doing minor roles and background appearances. Guest spots on TV shows like 9210, Grey's Anatomy, and Criminal Minds. Her breakout started around 2018 when she landed a role in Everything Sucks, produced by Netflix, and The Handmaid's Tale in its second season. The same year, she played a major supporting role in HBO's Sharp Objects, which gave her a foothold in prestige television. The real turning point was Euphoria in 2019, however. She was casted as Casey Howard, and Sydney Sweeney leaned into a character that was emotionally messy, sexual, and vulnerable. A performance that drew critical attention and gave her cultural relevance among Gen Z. Her presence on a show that aligned with the internet wave, fan edits with Tumblr-style aesthetics gave her discourse around a damaged female character. Also, people making edits of her big boobs and her big boobs on Twitter and her big boobs in the show. This video, I'm not glossing over the big boobs that Sydney Sweeney has. I'm sorry. It's right there in front of you.
I was trying to feel your breast.
And in 2021, she appeared in HBO's White Lotus Season 1, where she played Olivia, a snarky, intellectual, performative college student with, you guessed it, big boobs.
I feel like people only see me as the girl on TV who screams, cries, and has sex.
Her back-to-back roles in 2 major HBO shows established her as serious talent and not just a teen show actress. Industry-wise, though, she was marked as an entrance into A-list conversation, but public-wise, it was the start of an intense internet fixation of, you guessed it, her boobs.
enough.
It is important to note that Sydney Sweeney's public identity is inseparable from how the media and internet frame her, a sexually appealing woman. From Euphoria onward, nearly every headline, comment section, and tweet seemed to orbit around her body. And that's not unique to her. Hollywood has a long history of reducing actresses just to their appearance, then punishing them for it. However, there are a couple instances where Sydney Sweeney is purely just looks and eye candy and not enough acting talent, and we are going to talk about a couple of those now. We have people like Megan Fox, who was ultimately marketed as the hot girl, specifically in the Transformers era, where she was praised and oogly boogly boogly on her boobs. However, I do think Megan Fox has a little bit of better acting chops than Sydney Sweeney, but they both became pop culture obsessions and targets of sexuality. Neither were taken seriously at first, despite clear talent of one, Megan Fox. But the key similarity between Megan Fox and Sydney Sweeney is both of their sexual appeal is treated as a marketing tool, and it becomes a liability eventually because if they can't act, backlash begins. You also have people like Margot Robbie, who had her breakout role in Wolf of Wall Street that positioned her as a sex symbol actress. However, she has evolved into a better actress, like in the Barbie movie, which she did an incredible job of taking control of her image as not just a sex symbol. However, they did do her dirty in Suicide Squad. Why'd you put my girl Margot Robbie in such sexual attire, directors? Why don't you let her act? She's actually a good actress. Hey, is this director bothering you? The connection between Sydney Sweeney and Margot Robbie is they both had to play roles with reported nudity and overall sexuality. However, Margot Robbie evolved into a more strong, independent actress than Sydney Sweeney did. Sydney Sweeney essentially just keeps riding the wave of being hot. And we have people who are all the way down the totem pole on veteran actress status who still get sexualized but still play powerful roles, like Scarlett Johansson. What makes Sydney Sweeney's case so unique in this world is she has the TikTok effect. She's essentially getting blasted online on TikTok for how hot she is and on Twitter as well. But Twitter's been kind of around for people showing off hot actresses actresses like Megan Fox and Scarlett Johansson, but TikTok is fairly new. Coming up in every clip and edit of her looking hot, it has actually made her sexuality a massive dramatization when she's really just a blonde girl with big boobs. She's not anything special. She's pretty much compared to Megan Fox, but because of how many fan edits of her identity are out there, she has zero grace period and when she can be a good actor or eventually evolve. Because as the media keeps pushing social media, people are going to remember people more frequently. She really was never given time to grow since Euphoria. She was kind of placed in the hot girl role and she just kind of rode the wave to make the most money. I can't blame her. As her career accelerated, so did her media presence. Sydney Sweeney was landing magazine covers, luxury brand deals, and interview spots. GQ, Cosmopolitan, and Vogue among all the rest. She became the face of Miu Miu and collaborated with Ford on car sponsorship. Her online persona, bubbly and charming and often self-aware.
Biggest misconception about me is that I am a dumb blonde with big tits. I'm naturally a brunette.
Often helped her become a fan favorite. She also launched her own production company, 50/50 Films, and she began building her career just behind the camera as much as she was in front of it. What led many criticisms is that Sydney Sweeney was mainly being put into these roles in ads as pure eye candy, and there was no actual acting ability they were desiring from her. Simply to have someone pretty on camera was just enough to sell cars as it was to sell movies. And so people on the internet began to speculate whether Sydney Sweeney was a true actress or someone who was just to be hot in front of the camera. Around the same time, Sydney Sweeney hosted SNL, a sign she'd crossed into full pop culture stardom. But with that came many critics coming out with similar arguments, saying her acting was one-noted and her interviews were kind of awkward and too polished, and her fashion choices were overanalyzed. She was no longer just a breakout star. She became a lightning rod for celebrity discourse, especially in the hypercritical TikTok posts of the entertainment cycle of, she's only doing it because she's hot, she's not an actual actress, she doesn't have any talent, she just has boobs. It felt like Sydney Sweeney was made in a lab. In that lab also pumped out girls from Urban Outfitters and PacSun, which genuinely had no talent, and let many people speculate whether she had any talent. So Sydney Sweeney decided to prove everyone wrong, or at least she thought. By 2024, fatigue was setting in, and she had multiple projects releasing. Immaculate, a horror film she produced and starred in, and Madame Web, a Marvel-adjacent project that was critically panned. Critically panned as good, however, would be an understatement. Now, Madame Web was a Sony Marvel Spider-Man universe spin-off focused on Cassandra Webb, a clairvoyant who can see the future within the multiverse. It starred Dakota Johnson as the lead, with Sydney Sweeney, Isabel Merce, and Celestia O'Connor as the Spider-Women of the future. Sydney played Julia Carpenter, a character who eventually becomes Spider-Woman in the comics. The film was released in February of 2024, riding the superhero fatigue wave at exactly the wrong time.
Madame Web is a movie a lot of people wrote off pretty quickly. The trailers are abominable. Let's not, beat around the bush here. Maybe she really can see the future, because she knew this one was a super stinker.
So, just how bad did it flop? Critics rated it on Rotten Tomatoes about 11%, and the audience rated it only 57% of Rotten Tomatoes. In the box office, the budget was anywhere from 80 to 100 million, but the global gross of the entire film was 100 million. It barely even broke even before marketing. It was considered one of the worst reviewed comic book movies of all time, alongside Morbius. Kind of ironic.
I wouldn't say this film is worse than Morbius, but I would say it's just as bad. It's not better, it is just exactly the same as Morbius in terms of how dog shitty it is.
So just why did it bomb so hard? There was lack of story and stakes in the overall film. The plot felt unfinished and directionless, almost like a pilot for a show that was never going to release. It also had critics calling it a movie where nothing happens and then it just ends, which is actually evidently true. Nothing truly happened in the film, and again was just a bunch of fluff with no actual juxtaposition. There was also just a lot of awkward dialogue throughout the whole film. Not to mention zero chemistry between the cast, as virtually everyone was kind of not used to working with each other, and they were all virtually just eye candy actresses in one giant film. Despite having 4 popular young pretty actresses, the dynamic just felt hollow. And I want to point out that this movie was one of the first movies with Sydney Sweeney where she wasn't decked out in sexualized outfits and wasn't seen as a sex symbol. She was trying to be an actress, and it just didn't work because she is seen as those damaged goods females with big bazongas. She's not seen as a intellectual superhero who can fight crime. So people seeing her in that light, it wasn't like there was anything fun following it to see her in it that we could see in Spider-Man Madam Web, she just went from the hot girl to the intellectual Spider-Woman. It made no sense for the character arc of actually seeing her evolve into an actress. And also, without Peter Parker, Venom, or any real Marvel connective tissue, it kind of just felt like a knockoff movie that was trying to make the box office make money. Lastly, the mismanaged marketing really made the film fail, with trailers that overpromised a lot of things and virtually just underdelivered the actual storyline. Also, people kind of expected Euphoria meets Spider-Verse, with Sydney Sweeney being her hot archetype, but Spider-Woman and kind of this eclectic version of hot girl in Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, woman thing, like Black Cat in Spider-Man, which is really hot in the video games. Maybe that's just me. But instead, they got a low-stakes, poorly edited origin story with characters that didn't really mesh well together, and mostly characters that are known for being hot and sexy on a screen where they're intellectually advised. Not a good look. So what did this mean for Sydney Sweeney? She went from starring in Euphoria and White Lotus to being in one of the most mocked blockbusters of the year. In an interview, she claimed she joined because she loves Marvel and obviously wanted to be taken seriously as an actress. Guys, someone who has played the sexy hot character for so many years obviously wants to show that they can truly act. Like Scarlett Johansson and Megan Fox, these actresses eventually want to evolve into real roles and not just seen for their body. But it didn't really work out for Sydney Sweeney because she's not had enough archetype characters to evolve into a good actress other than just an eye candy one. It also just clashed with her image of being this hot, sexy person to now trying to be a prestigious actor with depth and range. But with all this being said, why is this even a big deal? I mean, Sydney's role was very small in the movie, but her name was used heavily in the promo cycle for obvious reasons. So she took a lot of the public-facing heat without having any real skin in the actual movie. She is still very early on in her career, and this misstep can really shake the industry up or just really do nothing in eventual future movies. But because she was kind of already dealing with internet overexposure and a little bit of backlash of just using her body for fame, Madam Web was kind of the punchline that started to turn on her. And at the same time of this movie's release, her public image was being dissected more than ever. Online commentary ranged from accusing her of being overhyped, calling her a product of nepotism, despite her family having no ties in Hollywood. Her Instagram, once filled with relatable behind-the-scenes moments, kind of just turned into a more curated mess of how hot she was, and it just felt more distant. She hadn't necessarily done anything wrong in these cases, but in a culture built on cycles of hype and backlash, it didn't really matter for Sydney. And then Sydney Sweeney just went back to doing what she did best, trying to sell things to companies purely based off her looks and nothing based off her talent. And that was until the company Dr. Squatch decided to take it a step too far with idolizing her looks in a way to get money. Lots and lots of money to incel gooners.
Hello, you dirty little boys. Are you interested in my body? Watch. Well, you can't have it. Because this isn't for boys. So go to drsquatch.com today and quit being a dirty little boy.
On May 29, 2025, People in Goods Publications confirmed that Sydney Sweeney partnered with Dr. Squatch for a limited edition bar of soap called Sydney's Bathwater Bliss, infused with actual droplets of her bathwater collected during a prior bathtub ad shoot. The soap also included exfoliating sand, pine bark extract, and Sweeney's bathwater with forestry notes of pine. Are we fucking for real? Don't forget the Douglas fir and moss. And only 5,000 bars were produced, priced at $8 a bar. $8 a bar for a soap. Now, I also want to put a side note here. Dr. Squatch is notoriously known for just drop shipping soap from a separate brand, but I'm not going to make a whole video about that. But they didn't start out by making all their soaps in-house, so they're already kind of a mid-company at best. But to release an $8 bar of soap because they know gooners are going to buy it, insane. There was also some rumors that the bar of soap was going to have a hole in it. That was debunked. You guys are sick.
Hey, buddy. Third bath of the day, eh?
Just had to wash up a bit.
You bought Sydney Sweeney's bathwater, didn't you?
What? What? No. Who is? I don't even know who that is.
The campaign nearly exploded online, gaining 1 million entries were submitted for the Dr. Squatch giveaway, which was going to give away 100 bars of soap. Within minutes of its launch, the soap sold out and was quickly reformatted into other online sites, re-uploading the prices for as high as $1,600 a bar.
The scalpers are now marking up Sydney Sweeney's bathwater soap as much as $1,600.
Dr. Squatch confirmed that these were not genuine and did call them fraudulent, but it was mostly just resellers probably selling the fucking soap. Dr. Squatch, chill. The reaction was kind of mixed because of this. Fans applauded for the cheeky novelty marketing, while others criticized it for contributing to sexualization and fetishization. Despite Sydney Sweeney claiming it was weird in the best way and claiming it was her attempt to encourage men toward better personal hygiene, got a lot of mixed reviews from men and men with girlfriends, and just women in general. I mean, to see a woman who was once sexualized for their body, then trying to become an actress, and when it didn't work, they went right back to sexualizing their body, didn't really help her case for being in the feminism mindset of I'm an independent woman. She essentially tried to stop being sexualized. It didn't work. And instead of not giving up, she went right back to sexualizing her body, saying, hey, I couldn't make it work. I'm just going to show my boobs in bathwater. But the ads were built just to make Sydney Sweeney look pretty. And it didn't stop there. And Sydney Sweeney decided to slip into something a little more comfortable with a little more stretch and, of course, more fitting for her jeans. Man, this one's gonna be crazy. Launched around July 23rd, 2025, the American Eagle summer campaign centers around a visual pun. Jeans is crossed out and replaced with jeans to emphasize denim over DNA. In the video, Sydney Sweeney defines jeans, traits like hair color, eye color, and her jeans are blue, before emphasizing the jeans, trying it both her blue jeans and the blue of the product of American Eagle jeans.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great jeans.
And even a limited edition Sydney jean, which featuring a butterfly motif symbolizing domestic violence awareness, and 100% of the profits and proceeds will go to a crisis text line. So apart from this being an ad where Sydney Sweeney was trying to do good in the world, she was also in this sexy campaign where the ad literally went up from her feet to her boobs, no bra on also. I mean, maybe a small one, but guys, you can tell where the ad was going. She was back to selling stuff.
The American Eagle Sydney Sweeney ad isn't landing because the demographic that would actually enjoy an over-sexualized ad for women's jeans, they're not buying women's jeans from American Eagle of all places.
And for a lot of people who thought this was going to work out, it tremendously did and didn't at the same exact time, sparking backlash on both sides of the political spectrum for eugenics allegations.
The Sydney Sweeney ad, have you seen it?
Oh, yes, I have.
What are your thoughts?
Trying to calm myself, but that would,
The double entendre of great jeans and Sydney Sweeney's white, blonde, blue-eyed appearance led critics to draw parallels to eugenic beauty standards and eugenic ideology.
American Eagle for eugenics. I get that it's a double entendre, jeans and jeans, but we're talking about eugenics now. Maybe I'm just woke and crazy, right? But also maybe I'm not, because they left all other posts of her up, but for some reason they took that video down.
Whether I believe this is true or false, I think it's inherently ridiculous because I don't think the company would have made an entendre like that, having known that it would 100% tank their company, because I don't even think white supremacists wear American Eagle jeans. I think they wear Wrangler. You seriously think the white supremacist protesters are going to American Eagle getting the ripped black jeans for themselves? I'm just saying. Social media users described it as a dog whistle to white supremacist messaging and even called it Nazi propaganda despite silent intent. To some, it was just this tone-deaf timing with this kind of bad rhetoric that is going on in the world today.
I will be the friend that's too woke because those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird. Like fascist weird. Like Nazi propaganda weird. Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this?
Launching during heightened cultural and political awareness, the campaign's casual wordplay was seen as poorly timed and insensitive. Critics also questioned the juxtaposition of sexualized imagery with the campaign tied to domestic violence support. As the left side of media decided to attack Sydney Sweeney over and over for intentionally doing an ad with Nazi propaganda, the right side of the media said she had no idea that was going on and that the fact that it's white supremacist stuff is ridiculous. It's literally just a jeans ad. Jeans are passed down like your family passing jeans on to people. It created this incredible divide, like Moses parting the Red Sea.
Are people overreacting to the Sydney Sweeney commercials? What? American Eagle paid a white woman to talk about how great her jeans are. Right, it's a double entendre. She has good jeans because people think she's hot, and American Eagle is selling jeans. It's a series of supremacist dog whistles. There's one commercial in the series where she's talking about how her jeans are handed down to her from her family. Right, that's the double entendre. Her MAGA family. Yeah, I mean, the campaign is tone deaf, to say the least. She said her jeans are blue. Blue jeans is a nod to eugenics. They're also selling blue jeans.
Actual debates over jeans. And American Eagle was getting all the praise. So for the first time ever, Sydney Sweeney truly did something good and bad at the same time, and it benefited the company. You got that right. The business impact and brand fallout was non-existent for American Eagle. Despite the controversy, American American Eagle stock rose between 4 and 18% in the days following the campaign, driven by the viral attention. And I'm sure it's gone up by now. I'll put it on screen what it was now. The campaign reportedly reversed much of the brand's previous year-to-date losses, showing that the virality, even negative, could still drive profit for a successful 2025. Now, to simplify what I think is that I think it was just taken a little bit out of proportion. And I really don't think Sydney Sweeney really meant to offend or imply that she is for Nazis and Hitler. I think it's just a misunderstanding and an overcomplication from the internet, likely trying to cancel Sweeney because they do not like her overall presence. Even though, however, this spun a great political war amongst Democrats and Republicans, only aiding American Eagle more and more. And on the note of Republicans, fans are now upset because documents have come out that Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican.
She's a registered Republican? If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay.
And I mean, come on, are we really just finding out about this now? It feels like every 2 years she comes out a Republican, and honestly, everyone gets upset and then forgets about it. And the next 2 years, people find more information about her becoming a Republican and they get upset and they move on. Are we seriously now figuring out that she's Republican? I mean, look at her. In 2022, at her mother's birthday, she was seemingly around other people with red hats with white lettering around them as she was in a country western theme. Are we just like negligent to this kind of stuff? And fans are now jumping ship, being like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe her, how she could do this. Like, are we for real? How did y'all not know?
I'm from a town called Spokane, right on the border of Washington and Idaho. I feel a bond to both states. Like when people ask, where are you from? I say Washington. But when people ask, did you go to a Trump-themed party for your mom? I say Idaho.
Now, regardless of what Sydney Sweeney's political bias is, I really couldn't care less because this video isn't about Sydney Sweeney's political opinion. Honestly, I think it's shocking that her vote matters just as much as mine, but that's none of my business. Now, as we wrap all of this up, Sydney Sweeney sits in a strange space. She's still a bankable star for that matter, still working consistently and still praised for certain performances. But her relationship with the public has definitely shifted. The internet that once elevated her now watches a little more skeptically, and she hasn't really fallen off, but she's moved into the next phase of her career, where maintaining relevance becomes just as hard as achieving it. And so to understand if Sydney Sweeney will truly be an evolved actress in things that don't make her look like a sexual object, we will never know until the future comes. And maybe this video is wrong, maybe this video is right, but at the end of it, we can honestly say for sure that Sydney Sweeney had definitely one of the biggest rises and biggest falls of female actresses being over-sexualized.